Relaxing bedtime stories, gentle narration for deep sleep, calming words to help you unwind, clear your mind, and drift peacefully into rest. Tonight, there will be no ads to disturb you. The screen will stay completely black, so nothing will distract you as you listen. Just stillness, quiet, and words that guide you into deep, peaceful sleep. Welcome, friend, to Sleep with Owl Stories, your safe corner of the night. Here, every word is chosen to slow the day, to soften your thoughts, and to guide you gently toward the quiet place where sleep comes easily. If your mind has been busy, if your body feels heavy, but your thoughts keep turning, this is the space where you can finally let go. You don't need to hold on to the weight of today, not anymore. Just breathe, feel the stillness around you. Notice how even now, as you listen, the world outside begins to fade a little further away. These stories are here to carry you slowly, softly toward rest. They're not meant to rush you or to ask anything of you, only to walk beside you as the night opens. With every sentence, the edges of your thoughts blur, and the only thing left is calm. This is what we do together every night. A journey into quiet, a journey into sleep. If you'd like to return here whenever you need rest, I invite you to subscribe to Sleep with Owl Stories. That way, you'll always have a light waiting in the dark, gentle words, steady voices, and a safe place to fall asleep whenever you need it. So now take a deep breath, lie down, pull the covers close, and let the day slip away. Turn off the lights. Let the night hold you. And before you drift too far, tell us in the comments where you're listening from tonight. We love knowing where these stories travel across cities, across oceans, into your home, into your night. Now settle in. Your story is waiting. The evening air is soft as you wander through narrow streets, lined with stone walls, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. The city has begun to quiet its once bustling rhythm, giving way to stillness. Lamps flicker to life one by one, scattering warm pools of gold along the cobblestones. You follow the glow until the buildings fall away, revealing a wide stretch of sky painted with the last brushstrokes of twilight. Before you, spanning the river, stands a bridge. Its arches curve gracefully, reflected in the water below like a shimmering double. The stones are ancient, weathered by time and touched by countless lives long before yours. And yet, the bridge stands steady, a silent witness to the passing of days and nights, seasons and centuries. You step onto the first stone, your footfall gentle against the surface smoothed by age. At once, the air feels different here. The river carries a quiet murmur, blending with the faint rustle of trees on its banks. But there is something else, too, a subtle echo, almost like footsteps following your own. You pause, listening. The sound is faint, nearly swallowed by the hush of twilight, yet undeniable. As you take another step, the echo follows, delayed but present, as though the stones themselves are remembering. It is not unsettling, but strangely comforting, as if you are not alone on this crossing. The bridge stretches ahead, its path framed by worn stone balustrades. Carvings etched into the surface catch your eye: initials, dates, and symbols left by hands long gone. Some are sharp and clear, others softened into shadows of their former shapes. You run your fingertips lightly along the stone, tracing the grooves of names you'll never know, lives that once touched this very place. Above you, The sky deepens from blue into violet. A single star appears, then another, faint pinpricks of light blooming against the darkening canvas. Their reflections shimmer on the river's surface, trembling as the water shifts. Halfway across the bridge, you lean on the balustrade. The river flows lazily beneath, its current carrying fragments of light like silver threads woven into the fabric of night. A cool breeze rises from the water, carrying with it the scent of damp stone and something sweeter, perhaps blossoms from a tree along the bank. The echoes continue, softer now, like whispers fading in and out. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the rhythm of the water and the faint hum of memory lull you. It feels almost like the bridge is breathing, holding you in a timeless pause between where you came from and where you are going. As you open your eyes again, a lantern flickers into view at the far end of the bridge. Its golden glow sways gently, as though moved by the same breeze that brushes against your skin. The light pools across the stones, guiding you forward. You step once more, your footsteps falling into a quiet pattern step, echo, silence. The further you go, the stronger the scent of rain becomes. It is faint at first, a whisper in the air, but soon you can almost taste it. Perhaps a storm has passed, leaving the world washed clean, or perhaps another lingers on the horizon. Either way, the freshness mixes with the river's cool breath, wrapping around you like a delicate veil. You glance back over your shoulder. The far end of the bridge you left behind glows faintly under the first glimmers of moonlight. The city rise is beyond, rooftops layered against the fading light, chimneys sending faint curls of smoke into the sky. From this distance, it all seems hushed, softened, as if wrapped in sleep. The bridge creaks faintly beneath your steps, though its stones remain unshaken. You imagine the countless travelers who have walked this same path, merchants carrying wares, lovers hand in hand, children chasing one another across the span. Their footsteps, their voices, their lives have all been folded into these stones, leaving behind only whispers. The river swirls below, carrying with it reflections of both past and present. You watch as ripples distort the lantern's glow, stretching it into golden threads that shimmer, then dissolve. There is a quiet beauty in how fleeting it all feels: the light, the water, the echo of sound. You continue forward, passing beneath one of the arch's shadows. The darkness here feels deep but gentle, like stepping into a pocket of stillness carved out by time. Then, as you emerge once more into the glow of the lantern, you find yourself breathing easier, as though the bridge itself wished to show you both silence and light. At the far end, the stone path narrows between two weathered walls. Vines spill down their sides, leaves catching in the lantern's glow like tiny embers. You pause at the edge of the bridge, looking back one last time. The river flows steadily, reflecting moonlight now instead of the fading sun. The arches stand proud against the darkening sky, and the lantern sways gently as though nodding farewell. The whispers linger faintly in your mind, like echoes of a dream you know will stay with you long after you've moved on. With a quiet breath, you step off the bridge. The cobblestones beneath your feet feel different now, more solid, as if you've crossed not only a river, but also a threshold into something new. The air is cooler here, carrying scents of earth and grass, mingled with the sweetness of night flowers blooming unseen nearby. You walk slowly, letting your footsteps soften against the ground. The sounds of the bridge fade behind you, replaced by the chirping of crickets and the distant call of an owl. And yet, the memory of the echoes remains, accompanying you like a companion. As you turn a corner and the bridge slips from view, you know it will remain with you, the gentle creak of its stones, the shimmer of lantern light on the water, and the whispers that seem to follow each step. Some places, you realize, are not meant to be explained, only carried with you. The Bridge of Whispering Echoes is one such place, a threshold between silence and sound, past and present, solitude and memory. And though you continue on into the night, the bridge remains behind, watching quietly over the river, its stones alive with echoes, waiting for the next traveler who will pause to listen. The streets grow quieter as twilight settles over the city. You wander past shuttered shops and narrow lanes, the sounds of the day fading until only the hush of your own footsteps remains. The air smells faintly of damp stone and wood smoke, mingled with the sweetness of nearby blossoms carried on a drifting breeze. Ahead, you notice a pair of tall iron gates, their surface darkened by age. They are half hidden beneath a curtain of ivy, its leaves shifting gently, as though the night air itself is trying to draw your attention. Beyond the bars, you glimpse a path lined with shadows and the faint glimmer of moonlight on stone. Something in the stillness beckons you forward. With a light push, the gate creaks open, its hinges groaning softly before yielding. You step through, and the world outside falls away. The path is narrow, framed on both sides by hedges grown tall and wild. Their leaves rustle softly, as though whispering among themselves. The ground beneath you is paved with weathered stones, their surface uneven, with moss filling the cracks in a patchwork of deep green. As you walk deeper, shapes begin to emerge in the dim light, figures standing silently among the hedges. Statues, their pale surfaces glow faintly in the moonlight, though many are softened by time, edges worn and details blurred. You pause before the first one, a marble figure of a woman draped in flowing robes. Her features are faded, her face weathered smooth, yet her posture still holds a quiet grace. Moss creeps along her shoulders like a shawl, and a small bird perches briefly on her outstretched hand before fluttering away. Further along, another statue leans slightly, its base uneven from the shifting earth. Its face is missing, but the curve of its torso suggests motion, as if frozen mid-step. You imagine the sculptor's hand shaping it long ago, never knowing that centuries later it would still stand here half forgotten but not gone. The air in the garden is thick with the scent of jasmine, sweet and heady. Somewhere nearby, water trickles gently. You follow the sound until the path widens into a small clearing where a fountain rests at the center. The fountain's basin is shallow and cracked, but water still flows, spilling from the mouth of a stone lion into a pool below. The ripples catch the moonlight, scattering it into shifting patterns across the surrounding statues. The sound is soft, steady, a lullaby written by time itself. Around the fountain, more figures stand: a child holding a ball, a man with a cloak drawn across his chest, a pair of stone dogs crouched side by side. Some are nearly whole, while others are little more than fragments. A hand here, a broken column there, half a face gazing skyward. You sit on the edge of the fountain's basin, feeling the coolness of the stone beneath you. The garden is silent, except for the trickling water and the faint chirp of crickets hidden in the hedges. The statues seem to watch over you, their empty eyes filled not with sorrow, but with quiet patience. From the corner of your eye, movement catches your attention. At first, you think another bird has landed among the statues, but as you look closer, you see a pair of cats weaving gracefully between the stone figures. One pauses to rub against the leg of a weathered statue, its purring soft in the night. The other leaps lightly onto the fountain's edge, its eyes glowing in the dim light as it regards you calmly. The presence of these small guardians makes the space feel alive. Their gentle movements bring a warmth to the stillness, as though reminding you that even place is steeped in memory remain part of the present. You rise from the fountain and continue along the path. Lanterns mounted on tall iron poles appear now, their glass cloudy but still glowing with faint golden light. They cast long shadows across the statues, making them appear as though they shift ever so slightly when you're not looking. The path leads you deeper still, into a secluded alcove where ivy has grown thick across the walls. Here stands a single statue, taller than the rest. It depicts a figure robed and crowned, though time has worn away its details until only the silhouette remains. The ivy climbs around it, framing the figure as though nature itself has chosen to preserve its dignity. You stand quietly before it, letting the atmosphere settle over you. There is no plaque, no inscription, no clue to who this figure once was. And yet, the silence speaks volumes. This is a place where memory and forgetting exist side by side, where beauty lingers even as time takes its toll. You reach out and touch the stone, feeling its cool, rough surface beneath your fingertips. For a moment, you imagine all the hands that must have done the same before you, each leaving behind an invisible trace, a quiet act of remembrance. Moving on, you come to a marble bench half hidden. In shadow, you sit, letting your body sink into its worn surface. From here, the view of the garden stretch is wide statues standing in scattered clusters, their forms softened by the hazy glow of lantern light and moonshine. The air is rich with night scents, jasmine, damp earth, faint smoke from the city beyond. A breeze stirs the ivy, carrying with it a faint rustle that mingles with the steady murmur of the fountain. You close your eyes for a moment, listening. The garden breathes around you. The statues stand silent, but their presence is not empty. It is filled with the weight of time, with the quiet dignity of things that endure long after their stories are forgotten. When you rise, the garden feels different. Not smaller, but more intimate, as though it has opened itself to you. You retrace your steps, passing once more by the fountain, the cats now curled together at its base. The statues seem softer now, less forgotten, as though your presence has stirred something in them, not memory, perhaps, but acknowledgement. The gate looms ahead once more, its iron bars glinting faintly in the light. As you step through, the hinges creak again, closing softly behind you. The sounds of the city drift back, distant voices, the faint roll of a carriage, the murmur of life continuing beyond these hidden walls. And yet you carry the garden with you, the cool stone beneath your hand, the scent of jasmine in the night air, the way the statues stood silently, not abandoned but waiting. For some places, you realize, are not meant to be bustling or bright. They exist in quiet corners, where time slows and beauty lingers, waiting only for those who pause to see it. The Garden of Forgotten Statues is one of those places, and as you walk away, its silence stays with you, a gentle, enduring echo, reminding you that even what is forgotten can still be deeply felt. The evening is soft as you make your way toward the edge of the city. The streets grow wider, and the smell of salt begins to drift through the air. The faint cries of gulls reach you before you even glimpse the water. Then, as the last buildings fall away, the harbor spreads out before you, a wide curve of calm sea, its surface painted in hues of violet and gold by the setting sun. Wooden boats line the docks, resting gently against their ropes. Their hulls are worn but sturdy, painted in faded shades of blue, green, and red. The tide rocks them slowly, their masts swaying in unison, creaking with each movement. Nets are draped across the decks to dry, their rough texture catching the glow of the lanterns beginning to flicker on along the quay. You pause at the edge of the dock, breathing deeply. The air is rich with the scent of seawater, mingled with tar, rope, and the faint sweetness of nearby jasmine carried on the breeze. The harbor feels timeless, as though it has always been here, always waiting for travelers to arrive and linger in its stillness. You walk slowly along the wooden planks, each step hollow and resonant. The water laps gently beneath you, a steady rhythm that blends with the quiet sounds of the harbor. Somewhere a rope tightens with a low groan. A gull drifts overhead, its cry sharp before fading into the vastness of the sky. Near one of the boats, an old fisherman sits mending a sail. His hands move steadily, threading the needle with practiced ease. The lantern at his side glows warmly, casting a circle of gold across his weathered face, and the fabric stretched across his knees. He glances up and offers a brief nod before returning to his work, as though the rhythm of his task cannot be interrupted. Farther along, another boat rocks gently, its deck piled with coiled ropes and nets. A cat stretches lazily across the planks, rolling onto its back in the fading warmth of the day. It opens one eye as you pass, then settles again, as if guarding the boat with the patience of centuries. The harbor widens into a small square where stone steps lead down to the water. Here, the reflection of the sunset is strongest, shimmering like liquid fire. You sit on the steps, letting the stone press cool against your palms. The water moves in slow ripples, distorting the colors into patterns that shift and vanish in an instant. The sounds of the harbor blend into a soothing symphony. The creak of wood, the hush of waves, the distant murmur of voices from a tavern tucked somewhere behind the quay. A faint melody drifts on the air, someone playing a violin, its notes rising and falling like the tide itself. You close your eyes for a moment, listening. The music and the water become one, weaving together in a lullaby that seems to belong entirely to this place. When you rise, lanterns have begun to glow more brightly, their light scattering across the water in golden ribbons. The boats appear to float in pools of light, their shadows stretching long and soft against the surface. You walk further along the dock until you reach its end, where a small wooden bench waits. From here, the view stretches wide, the curve of the harbor, the clustered boats, the open sea beyond. The horizon glows faintly with the last fire of the sun, slowly fading into indigo. You sit, letting the bench take your weight. The air is cooler now, carrying with it the tang of salt and the faint trace of smoke from a chimney somewhere nearby. The masts sway gently, their ropes tapping against the wood with a soft, irregular beat. It feels like the harbor itself is breathing, alive but unhurried. As the night deepens, stars begin to appear, one by one, their reflections trembling on the water. The lanterns glow steadily, their flames dancing in the breeze. The boats remain quiet, their decks empty, their sails folded like wings at rest. They seem almost like living beings, asleep and dreaming, waiting for morning to rouse them again. A gentle breeze stirs your hair, carrying with it the faint scent of seaweed. You watch as a small wave breaks against the dock, leaving behind a glistening trail that fades as quickly as it appeared. Every detail feels delicate, fleeting, as though the harbor wishes to reveal itself only to those who linger. At last you rise and begin to walk back along the dock. The fisherman has finished his work now, his sail folded neatly beside him. He lifts his lantern, casting a final glow across the water before heading toward the square. The cat on. The boat remains, its eyes glowing faintly in the dark as it watches you pass. You glance back once more before leaving. The harbor stretches behind you, still and luminous, its boats swaying like silent sentinels. The water reflects the stars now instead of the sun, a shifting mirror of the night sky. And though you step away, the memory of the harbor follows the creak of wood, the glimmer of lantern light, the gentle rhythm of waves. The silent boats remain at rest, their dreams drifting with the tide, waiting for another dawn. The afternoon has softened into golden light as you wander through the quieter quarter of the city. Narrow lanes twist between old houses, their shutters painted in fading colors, their walls marked by time. The hum of daily life lingers faintly in the distance, but here the air is hushed, filled only with the sound of your footsteps on the worn cobblestones. Ahead, an archway catches your attention. Its stone is darkened with age, ivy creeping across its curve. Through the arch, a shadowed passage leads into the unknown. Something about its quiet beckons you, a promise of discovery just beyond. You step inside, the air immediately cooler, carrying the faint scent of earth and stone. The passage narrows, its ceiling low. Light filters in from narrow slits above, casting patterns across the ground like pieces of stained glass. Then, as you round a bend, the shadows open into a wide chamber, and there, waiting in the glow of afternoon, is a library. It is unlike any you've ever seen. The room stretches tall and vast, its walls lined from floor to ceiling with shelves of books. The arches above frame the space in curves of stone. Their surface is carved with delicate patterns half hidden by age. Shafts of light fall from high windows, illuminating the air in golden dust. You step closer, drawn toward the shelves. Each book is bound in leather, its surface worn smooth. Some spines gleam faintly with gold lettering. Others are faded, their titles lost to time. The scent here is rich parchment, and ink mingled with the faint wax of candles burned long ago. A spiral staircase rise is in the center of the library, its iron railing twisting upward toward a balcony lined with even more shelves. The steps creak softly beneath your feet as you climb, the sound echoing faintly in the quiet space. From the balcony, the view is breathtaking. Below, the rows of shelves stretch outward like waves, disappearing into the shadows of the arches. Dust motes drift lazily in the air, glowing like tiny stars in the shafts of light. It feels like stepping into a world entirely apart from time, where silence holds its own kind of music. You trail your fingers along the spines of books as you walk, feeling the ridges and grooves of the bindings. Some are cool and smooth, others rough with cracks. The textures carry their own stories of hands that once turned pages, of lives long since passed yet preserved here. You pause at a window cut into the stone. It frames the city beyond, rooftops glowing in the evening sun. From this height, the world outside seems far away, softened and unreal. Inside, the air is steady and still, as though the library has gathered centuries of silence into its walls. Descending the staircase again, you wander deeper into the shelves. Alcoves open here and there, small corners where tables rest beneath the arches. On one, a globe sits, its surface faded, oceans and continents marked in colors dulled by time. On another, a candle still stands in its brass holder, melted down to a stub, though unlit for years. In the far corner, you find a long wooden table covered in open volumes. Their pages are yellowed, edges curled, but the ink remains legible neat lines of handwriting and language, as you cannot quite decipher. The words seem alive, as though whispering to one another across the silence. You sit for a while at the table, letting the quiet sink into you. The weight of the air is comforting, filled with the presence of countless voices bound in pages all around you. Each book holds a story, and together they form a chorus that hums just beneath the silence. A movement catches your eye. In a shaft of light near the shelves, a moth drifts lazily, its wings pale and delicate. It flutters for a moment before settling on the edge of a book, perfectly still. The sight feels like a small secret gift life among the stillness, fragile and fleeting yet at home here. Beyond the moth, you notice an arched doorway leading deeper into the library. You pass through, finding yourself in a narrower hall. Here the shelves are lower, filled with smaller volumes bound in cloth. The air feels different, cooler, more intimate, as though this part of the library is meant for private discovery. A single lamp glows on a stand, its flame steady. You pause beside it, running your fingers over the nearest titles. One book has no words on its spine, only a small embossed pattern of stars. Another bears a date so faded you can barely make it out. You leave them untouched, content simply to feel their presence. At last, you make your way back toward the center. The spiral staircase glows softly in the fading light, its iron catching the last warmth of the day. You pause once more beneath the highest arch, tilting your head back to take in the vastness of the ceiling. The patterns carved there resemble vines and constellations, intertwining as if sky and earth had met in stone. The library feels alive around you, not in movement, but in presence. Its silence hums with memory, with centuries of hands and eyes and thoughts that have passed through. It is a place that has kept watch over time, holding it gently between its shelves. When you step back through the archway into the passage, the air shifts again. The coolness lingers, but the sounds of the city return, faintly distant voices, the roll of a cart, the bark of a dog. You glance back, but already the shadows have swallowed the view. The library is hidden once more, waiting behind its arches, timeless and undisturbed. You carry it with you as you step into the golden evening, the smell of parchment and wax, the glow of dust in shafts of light, the quiet hum of memory woven through every book. Some places exist not for the noise of life, but for its stillness. The library beneath the arches is one of them, a sanctuary of silence and stories, where the past breathes gently and time lingers on every page. The evening has deepened into a quiet hush. The last trace is of sunlight linger faintly along the rooftops, painting them with a soft glow, while shadows stretch long across the cobblestones. You turn a corner, and there it is, a narrow stairway winding upward, between two rows of old houses. Each step is framed by lanterns, their warm golden light flickering against the stone walls. The stairway climbs steadily, disappearing into the darkened heights above. The lanterns glow like small guardians of the night, inviting you to follow their trail. You place your foot on the first step. The stone is smooth, worn by centuries of travelers who have climbed here before. The lantern nearest sways slightly in the breeze, its glass casting shifting patterns of light across the walls. The shadows dance with each movement as though they are alive, urging you higher. The houses that flank the stairway lean close, their balconies overflowing with vines. Blossoms spill down in cascades of pink and white, glowing faintly in the lantern light. Their scent drifts through the air sweet, floral, mingled with the sharper notes of herbs planted in pots along windowsills. As you climb, you hear faint music drifting from an open window above. A gentle melody played on a stringed instrument, soft and unhurried, echoing through the narrow passage. The sound seems to weave itself into the light of the lanterns, a harmony of sight and sound guiding your steps upward. Halfway up, you pause to rest. The stairway stretches behind you, lanterns glowing in a winding trail that seems endless in the fading night. The city lies below, rooftops stacked in layers, their chimneys exhaling faint ribbons of smoke. From this height, the streets seem hushed, almost asleep, cradled in the embrace of twilight. You continue upward, the steps cool beneath your feet, each one carrying you deeper into the quiet. The air grows fresher as you climb, touched by the faintest hint of mountain breeze. Somewhere nearby, a cat slips silently across a balcony, its eyes catching the glow of the lantern before disappearing into the shadows. The lanterns themselves seem to hum softly as you pass. Their flames are steady, each one burning with a life of its own. Some glow bright and clear, others flicker, their light wavering as though whispering to the night. Together they create a rhythm, a pulse that moves with you as you ascend. The walls along the stairway give way briefly to a landing. Here, a bench rests beneath a tree whose branches stretch outward, dotted with blossoms that fall gently to the ground. You sit for a while, the petals scattering across your lap, glowing pale against the darkness. Above, the lanterns continue their climb, waiting patiently for you to follow. When you rise again, the stairway narrows, pressing close between tall stone walls. The lanterns hang lower here, their glass catching reflections of your face as you pass. The closeness amplifies every sound, the soft brush of wind, the faint scrape of your footsteps, the low hum of music still drifting faintly from below. Then, almost suddenly, the walls fall away. The stairway ends at a wide terrace perched high above the city. Lanterns line its edges, their glow mingling with the vast spread of starlight above. The view opens wide rooftops layered below, the harbor glimmering faintly in the distance, the dark sweep of hills beyond. You stand in stillness, taking it all in. The night sky is alive with stars, scattered like diamonds across an endless canvas. The lanterns glow warmly at your side, their flames steady as though anchoring you to the present moment. You wander to the edge of the terrace, resting your hands on the stone railing. The city below seems hushed, its lights twinkling faintly like fallen stars. The air is cooler here, touched by the breath of the hills. You inhale deeply, the scents of flowers, wood smoke, and lantern oil mingling into a single, soothing essence. The stairway behind you glows like a golden path, leading back down into the depths of the city. Yet here at the top, it feels as though you have stepped into another world, one suspended between earth and sky, light and shadow, silence and song. You remain for a long time, letting the view and the quiet seep into you. The lanterns flicker softly, their flames swaying with the breeze. It feels as though they are alive, watching over the stairway, ensuring that every traveler finds their way both up and down. At last you turn to leave. The stairway stretches downward, its lanterns glowing patiently, ready to guide your return. As you take the first step, the music from below is faintly once more, blending with the hum of the lanterns and the sigh of the night air. Each step carries you slowly back into the heart of the city, yet the terrace remains in your memory, the view of stars above, the rooftops below, the lanterns standing guard like gentle sentinels. Some places are more than paths, they are journeys in themselves. The stairway of lanterns is one of these, a passage not just between streets, but between silence and wonder, between the everyday and the eternal. And even as you return, the lanterns remain behind, glowing steadily, waiting for the next traveler who will climb their golden trail into the stars. The sky is pale when you awaken, the first blush of morning spreading across the horizon. The air is cool, tinged with the faint dampness that lingers after night. You step into the quiet streets, where shadows are long and the world has not yet stirred. The cobblestones beneath your feet are slick with dew, catching the soft light of the rising sun. As you wander further, a low hum begins to grow. It is not the rush of the city at midday, but something gentler, the early breath of life beginning to stir. Ahead lies a square, wide and open, its edges lined with shuttered buildings. At its heart, movement has begun. Stalls rise one by one, wooden frames creaking softly as merchants lift and arrange them. The faint glow of lanterns still lingers, though daylight has already begun to claim the sky. You step closer, drawn into the rhythm of the market as it wakes. The air carries a mixture of scents: fresh bread, damp earth, herbs bundled tightly with twine. Somewhere, coffee brews, the aroma drifting like a promise of warmth. A baker carries trays of rolls, their golden crusts still steaming, while beside him, a boy sets out baskets filled with fruit. The colors brighten in the morning light, oranges glowing like small suns, apples with skins polished red, grapes spilling over in cascades of green and purple. You pause, watching the scene unfold. Each movement is unhurried yet purposeful, as though every vendor knows the rhythm of this eye or by heart. Wooden crates are stacked, cloths smoothed across tabletops, baskets adjusted until everything looks just so. At one stall, a woman arranges flowers into bundles: tulips, daisies, sprigs of lavender. Their fragrance joins the mix of morning scents, light and sweet. She hums softly as she works, her tune mingling with the murmur of voices beginning to fill the square. A group of merchants gathers briefly at the center, greeting one another with laughter too soft to disturb the stillness. Their words drift through the air like low music carried off by the breeze. You cannot catch the meaning, but the sound is warm, human, alive. Nearby, a man sets down a wooden cage, releasing a small flock of birds into the air. They rise in a flutter, their wings catching the new sunlight before they scatter to the rooftops. The market seems to take a breath with them, as though awakening more fully. You walk slowly through the rows of stalls, your footsteps muffled on the damp stone. Everywhere, details reveal themselves: the rough weave of burlap sacks spilling with grain, the gleam of brass scales used to weigh goods, the soft brushing sound of hands sweeping dust from counters. The calf at the corner stirs awake, its shutters thrown open to reveal wooden tables set neatly in rows. A sleepy cat stretches across the threshold, yawning before curling back into a ball. Inside, the clink of cups and the hiss of steaming milk mingle with the low murmur of early customers. The smell of roasted coffee drifts stronger now, mixing with the sweet aroma of pastries. You pause to take it in, imagining yourself seated with a warm cup in hand, watching the market unfold before you. But instead, you continue walking, letting the morning carry you further. A fishmonger lifts a crate packed with crushed ice, setting it down with a dull thud. Silver, scaled fish gleam in the soft light, their bodies glistening like fragments of the river itself. He works quickly but quietly, his movements efficient, his face calm. Beside him, a cheesemonger arranges wheels and wedges of pale ivory, wrapping each with cloth. The tang of it reaches you even from a distance, sharp and rich. Each scent, each texture, adds another layer to the waking market, until the square feels alive with invisible threads of connection: food, sound, fragrance, breath. Children appear now, darting between stalls with baskets swinging from their arms. Their laughter is like bright bells, cutting through the low hum of the adults' voices. One boy carries a bundle of loaves nearly too large for him, stumbling slightly but catching himself with a grin. A girl is a small bundle of herbs, inhaling their scent as she skips past. The square brightens further as the sun lifts above the rooftops. Its light spills across the market, gilding every surface: the sheen of fruit, the curve of baskets, the faces of those who work and those who watch. You pause at the fountain in the center of the square. Its water sparkles now, catching the golden rays as it leaps and falls. A vendor rests on its edge, sipping from a cup before returning to his stall. Pigeons flutter down to drink, their wings flashing briefly before folding neatly against their sides. The sound of the fountain joins the hum of the market water and voices, footsteps and laughter, blending into a single rhythm. It feels timeless, as though this moment has unfolded not just today, but countless mornings before. You sit for a while, letting the market swirl gently around you. There is no rush, no clamor, only the soft awakening of life moving at its own steady pace. When you rise again, the square is full. Stalls stand bright and ready, baskets and crates overflowing, voices mingling in a language of trade and welcome. The lanterns have gone out, their glow unnecessary in the broadening day. You slip quietly away, your footsteps light against the cobblestones. Behind you, the market continues, its pulse steady and warm, a promise renewed with every dawn. As you turn the corner and the sounds begin to fade, you carry with you the memory of this morning: the scent of bread and flowers, the gleam of sunlight on fruit, the gentle hum of voices waking the world. And though you move on, the market at dawn remains, forever unfolding, forever alive, waiting to welcome the next traveler into its gentle rhythm. The city is quiet when you turn into a narrow alley, its walls high and close, the cobblestones uneven underfoot. The air smells faintly of stone warmed by the day, and somewhere far off, a bell tolls, deep and resonant. The alley bends sharply, and just when you expect another wall, it opens suddenly into light. You step out into a courtyard. It is wide and open, paved with marble slabs streaked with veins of silver. At its heart, fountains rise in clusters, each different from the next. Some are tall and ornate, with carved figures pouring streams of water from urns. Others are small and simple, stone bowls overflowing in gentle cascades. The air hums with the sound of water trickling, splashing, murmuring, each fountain carrying its own rhythm. You walk slowly across the courtyard, the echoes of your steps softened by the constant music of the fountains. Birds gather at the edges, sparrows dipping lightly into the basins, pigeons fluttering their wings in the spray. Their movements blend with the shifting water, as though the fountains themselves have drawn life into this hidden place. Orange trees circle the courtyard, their branches heavy with blossoms. The air is thick with their perfume, sweet, fresh, almost intoxicating. Beneath them, benches of marble and wood offer places to rest. Their surface is worn smooth. You sink onto one, feeling the coolness seep into your skin. The blossoms above tremble in the breeze, scattering pale petals that drift down into your lap, onto the water, across the ground. The fountains sing around you, each with a voice of its own. One splashes sharply, its drops scattering like laughter. Another murmurs low, a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Together they form a chorus, weaving sound into the stillness until the courtyard feels alive, yet profoundly calm. You rise again, wandering to the far corner where a fountain shaped like a lion's head pours water into a deep stone pool. The reflection shimmers with the glow of lanterns hung along the walls. You watch the ripples form, expanding outward until they vanish against the stone. The sight is mesmerizing, the pattern repeating endlessly, yet never the same. Near this fountain, ivy climbs the walls in thick green curtains. A small archway is hidden there, leading nowhere, its door long gone. The stones are cool to the touch, damp with centuries of water seeping through. For a moment, you imagine the countless travelers who might have stood here, listening to the same steady flow. You return to the center and sit once more, letting the courtyard settle into you. The fountains continue their song, the air fragrant with orange blossoms, the marble glowing softly in the lantern light. Outside, the city may bustle and shift, but here time seems suspended. When at last you rise to leave, the courtyard lingers with you, the sound of water, the scent of blossoms, the shimmer of ripples under lantern glow. It feels less like a place you visited, and more like a memory you uncovered, waiting quietly until you found it. The sun is low when you come upon a long row of arches, stretching farther than your eye can see. Their stone columns stand tall and steady, casting shadows that fall in rhythmic patterns across the ground. Between each arch, the light change is one step bright, the next in shade, again and again like the steady breath of the earth itself. You step beneath the first arch, the air immediately cooler, the sound of your footsteps echoes, bouncing softly between the stone. You take another step, and the echo shifts, higher now, as if the arcade itself is alive, tuning its voice to your presence. Shops line the walls, their shutters drawn. Behind dusty glass, you glimpse curious objects, a brass astrolabe, a faded painting, a wooden mask with cracked paint. Though the shops are closed, their treasures still seem to watch, silently waiting. The further you walk, the more the arches repeat, endless, steady, hypnotic. Between them, mosaics appear in the floor, patterns of stars and vines pieced together from colored tiles. Some are whole, glowing faintly in the slant of light. Others are cracked, their fragments scattered but still beautiful. The lanterns hang from the arches at intervals, their flames just beginning to glow as evening deepens. Their light spills across the mosaics, making the broken tiles shimmer as though alive. You pause at one, crouching to trace the cool surface of the stone. The colors are muted now, but you can imagine how they once blazed in full brightness centuries ago. A breeze drifts through the arcade, carrying scents of bread, incense, and faint smoke from the city beyond. The air moves the lanterns, setting their light swaying, shadows stretching and bending along the walls. Each step you take feels accompanied not only by echoes, but by these shadows, as though unseen travelers still walk with you. The sound of your footsteps changes again as you move deeper, sharper now, then hollow, then soft, each arch shaping the sound differently. The rhythm becomes soothing, like music played only for you. You pause at a wide alcove where a bench of marble waits beneath an arch carved with delicate vines. You sit, letting the cool stone press against your back. From here, you watch the arches stretch endlessly forward, glowing in alternating patterns of shadow and light. It feels as though you could sit here forever, the passage of time lost within the rhythm of the arcade. At last you rise and continue. The arches still reach on, their columns unbroken, their rhythm unchanged. You glance behind. The arcade looks the same there too, stretching endlessly in both directions. It occurs to you that the arcade may have no beginning, no end. It simply exists, a path of arches suspended in time, carrying those who walk it into silence and reflection. When you finally step out into the open street, the shift is startling, the noise of life rushing back, the brightness of lamps glaring after the gentle glow of lanterns. But the arcade remains with you. You carry its rhythm, echo, shadow, light long after you've left, as though the arches will always stretch inside your memory. The streets grow narrower as you wander toward the heart of the city, their cobblestones shining faintly with evening dew. Between tall houses, you notice a stairway rising where you might not expect, one steep steps carved into stone, leading upward toward the rooftops. A faint rustle of leaves drifts down from above, along with the smell of something green and living. You climb slowly, the sounds of the city falling away behind you. The stairway turns once, then again, until it opens onto a rooftop. And there, hidden above the noise of the streets, you find a garden. It spreads across the tiles in wild abundance. Vines climb wooden trellises, their leaves spilling outward in tangled waves. Pots of clay and iron are scattered across the space, overflowing with herbs, rosemary, mint, thyme. Their fragrance is mingling in the air. Between them, wildflowers bloom in colors softened by twilight, yellow, violet, pale blue. A stone bird bath sits at the center, its shallow bowl filled with clear rainwater. The surface ripples as swallows dart past, dipping briefly before vanishing into the sky. Around it, wooden benches are tucked into corners. Their surface is worn smooth by years of weather and time. An abandoned chair leans against one wall, its paint chipped but still bright beneath the dust. You wander deeper into the garden. Each step brings a new layer of scent. Sharp mint near your hand, the sweetness of lavender brushing your arm, the faint musk of damp soil underfoot. The air feels different here, lighter, fresher, touched by the faintest breath of open sky. In one corner, a small fig tree has rooted itself between tiles, its branches spreading wide. Tiny green fruit hang heavy, leaves catching the last light of the sun. Beside it, ivy creeps upward along the wall, stretching higher than your eyes can follow. The sounds of the city rise faintly from below: laughter, the roll of wheels, the bark of a dog. But here they feel distant, softened by the embrace of plants and stone. The rooftop garden is its own world, separate and secret, belonging only to those who climb high enough to find it. You sit on a bench, letting the air settle around you. Bees drift lazily from flower to flower, their low hum steady and calm. A cat appears from behind a cluster of pots, winding around your feet before vanishing again into the leaves. The birdbath ripples once more as another swallow dips, scattering droplets into the air. As dusk deepens, lanterns flicker to life along the edges of the rooftop. Their warm glow catches in the leaves, making them shimmer as though lit from within. Shadows stretch across the tiles, soft and gentle, blending with the fragrance of herbs carried on the wind. When you rise to leave, the garden feels alive behind you, as though watching quietly. You descend the stairway slowly, the scents of rosemary and mint still clinging to your clothes. The city greets you once more with its noise and movement, but the memory of the rooftop lingers. A garden hidden above the streets, where silence blooms as richly as flowers, waiting for the next traveler to climb and find its forgotten peace. As your story comes to a close, let your mind drift a little deeper into stillness. The world outside can wait right now. It's only you, the night, and your quiet thoughts. If you enjoyed this moment of calm, subscribe to Sleep with Owl Stories, so gentle words are always here when you need them. Now snuggle in, turn off the lights, and let the sleep come easily. And if you'd like, leave a comment to tell us where you're listening from tonight. We love hearing from our friends around the world. Good night and sweet dreams.
Mm-hmm.